Today, I'm going to take you through an accessible writing exercise that anyone can do. So whether you've written before and you just want to get a bit of practice, or you've never tried to write anything before, this should work for you. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll have written your first scene, or at least given it a really good go. I'm going to do the exercise along with you, and I'll show you my results at the end, whether it works out or it doesn't. You can use this exercise to write the opening lines of your novel, or a new chapter in your novel, or just a short fiction story. Whatever you're looking to write, it can turn into anything or nothing at all. Either way is fine. Here's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to identify what the pieces are that will make up this first scene, or what I suggest that you include in it. Then I've got a method for finding the spark of an idea using something that you're bound to already have lying around. And then finally, we'll spend 10 minutes writing our scene. By the way, if you're new, I'm Kieren. I'm a writer and a freelance editor, and I love to help writers tell their stories and have fun doing it. So thanks for being here. One of the questions I get quite often in the comments and on my website is, what actually makes up a scene? What are all the bits that need to go into it? So it's probably a good idea to get a handle on that before we jump into writing. As with everything on this channel, I can't give you absolutes or 100% about how to write any scene. I can only give you my opinion and what's worked for me over the past 10 to 15 years of writing. But for an opening scene in particular, which is what we're looking to write, there are 5 things that I think it's a good idea to try and include. Character, description, dialogue, conflict, and a hook. Before I go into what I mean by each of these and the reasons that I think they should show up in your opening scene, please note that I said try to include here. It's not essential to hit every single one of these every single time. These are also not the only things that you can include. They're just a suggestion for a place to start. The real objective here, rather than accuracy and sticking to the plan and including all of these elements, is just to write a story opening that you like. Nothing more than that, really. If what you write includes none of these story elements, but you really like it, then you've done it right. So let's quickly rapid fire what I mean by each of these 5 elements that I think we should try to include. Character. We want to get a person into the story as quickly as possible, in my opinion. This is to give readers somebody to empathise with and to root for, and just someone to whom the story happens. Stories are about people, so we should lead with a person. Description. The reader knows nothing about your story as they read those first few lines. We need to describe something if we can, to give them an image of the scene in their mind's eye and to create a space for the story. It doesn't have to be much, but a little dash of colour works wonders. Dialogue. If you've got multiple characters, a conversation can be a good way to tell our readers about what's happening and about who your characters are, because what we say reveals a lot about us. Tell us something in your character's own words. Conflict. I use the term loosely to mean there should be something pushing the story. This doesn't necessarily mean an argument between 2 people, though that can work. What I mean here is 2 or more forces pushing against each other. For example, your character doesn't want to take the stage in front of everyone they know, but if they don't, they won't get the cash prize money that they need to escape for good. Forces pressing against each other. And finally, a hook. What I mean here is something for the reader to continue reading for. An unanswered question, an unresolved event, a secret, a hint. This could be linked in with any of the above elements as well, really. Basically, you're just looking for anything that makes the reader think, I wonder. Even though we just rapid fired those and we didn't go too far into them, that's probably still a bit overwhelming, I know. But don't worry too much. Like I said, you don't need to hit every single one of these with precision. If you can just use 1 or 2 of them just to get you started, then that's fine. That's all that matters. You might also be thinking, that's great. Those elements make some kind of sense. The only problem is, I have no idea for any of them. No problem. Let's tackle that now. Like I said before, I've got a method for finding a little spark that you can follow along with using something that you're bound to have nearby. Books. By the way, if you've already got an idea of what you want to write about and you don't really care about how I get to mine, skip to this time in the video and carry on from there. So, all we need for this inspiration finding method is a book, or hopefully multiple books. That makes it a bit more fun. I'm going to be using the ones on the bookshelves behind me. What we're going to do is use the random chaos of the universe to give us inspiration for a story by picking a page from one of these books and taking an idea from it. Not stealing or carrying on with or rewriting, just inspiring. Step 1 of this method is to use this random colour generator that I found. Whatever colour it lands on will be the cover colour of the book that we'll use. And if you're colourblind, don't worry, you can use this link instead, which is a random letter generator, and pick a book using the first letter of the title instead. So I'm going to do it now. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for a light orange book. or I'll just go with orange in general. I think that's easier. The next step is to use this random number generator to tell me which orange book to pick. So we've landed on 9, so I'll pick the 9th orange coloured book. And if I don't have 9 orange books, then I'll just start again at the beginning. So I'm going to go and pick my book. Okay, so here's the book I got. It's weirdly the script for Pulp Fiction by Quentin Tarantino. To narrow it down even further, we'll use the random number generator to pick a page number. So there's 185 pages in this, so I'll make this top value 185 and then spin and see what happens. So we got page 48. If you haven't already done it, now's a good time to use the random generators, or any random generators that you find really, to select a book for yourself. So pause the video now and come back when you've got your page. Okay, now we just have to read the page, find something that stands out or sticks with us in some way and use it for inspiration for a story. I'll show you my page here. Pause the video to read it in full if you want. Hopefully you've got yours in front of you too now. Let's take a few minutes to read over our pages and see what occurs to us. That can be absolutely anything. There are no rules. All I'm going to look for is if there's a spark of story somewhere, a bit of the plot or a character or a word or two of dialogue, whatever you notice. I'll handle the timer for you, so just keep the video playing so you can hear it and maybe make some notes about what's on your page if you want. I'll bring you back after 3 minutes have passed and we'll see if we've got an idea. Don't panic, just read with an open mind and see what happens, and I'll see you shortly. All right, so that's 3 minutes How did you get on? Hopefully an idea came to you, whether big or small. Don't worry if it's not a fully formed story or a plot line. That's quite unlikely, I think, but possible. So if you just liked a little bit of the dialogue or a turn of phrase, just follow that. If you really tried and you got absolutely nothing and no idea at all, you could spend a bit longer reading the page or roll again and spin the wheels again for another possibility and then repeat the last step. But try not to focus on whether the idea is good or easy to write or whatever. It just needs to be a spark that you can use to set things off. My scene, if you've seen the movie, is the part where Vincent goes to Marcellus's house to take Mia out to dinner, and he walks into the living room and she talks to him over the intercom. So what I picked out is just the stage direction, or whatever it's called at the bottom of the page, that says video screens are in the background, Dusty Springfield singing Son of a Preacher Man. I like that idea of a seemingly empty house with loads of video screens and a song playing. It's something creepy and there's some kind of horror thing coming to me, some kind of Silence of the Lambs type thing. So we'll see where I go with that. The next step is to give ourselves some time to try and write that first scene, or at least make a start on it using this inspiration. Before we start, just remember, we don't need to use all 5 of the elements that I mentioned. They're just a suggestion, not a tick box exercise, but I'll leave them up on the screen as a prompt in a moment. Once you get moving and you start writing, if the words are coming to you, just follow them. But if you need a little bit more structure or an idea, take a glance at those elements and keep them in mind. Just like before, I'm going to put some time on the clock again. This time I'm going to make it 10 minutes so that we can settle into this exercise a little bit. Don't worry about where you do the writing, on paper or on a computer or whatever. It really doesn't matter, and it doesn't have to look nice either. Again, leave the video playing and I'll call you back when time's up, but feel free to pause me and carry on if you get into the flow of a story and you just want to continue. 10 minutes might not be enough to write a full scene, but it's enough to give it a go and to make a start on something that gets you a bit closer. Once we've done the exercise and we've made a start, I'll share with you whatever I managed to write, and we'll talk about where to go from there. All right, good luck. Don't panic. Take it slow and follow that spark. The 10 minutes starts now. Okay, that's time. How did that go for you? Let me know in the comments. How far did you get? Mine actually turned out fairly accurate to the idea that I had when I read the page. It's not fantastic, it's nothing that I'd be super proud of, but I at least started to create the scene that I'd intended to. So I'll put what I managed to write and the line that gave me the idea for it on the screen now, so pause here if you want to read it. Probably sounds like self-defense having just shown that, but the point of the exercise isn't to write the best opening scene ever. It's just to get something started on which we can build and move forward. Maybe it'll turn into a longer story, maybe it's something that just gets the wheels turning in our mind, maybe it's just a way to get some experience if you've never written anything before. Whatever the case, if you manage to complete this exercise with any result at all, then you've done a bit of a writing workout. You've put the time in and you've learned something about your own writing process. I've actually got another video of some writing exercises that are a bit more open-ended than this one, so I'll link that on screen here. Feel free to sign up to my free monthly email of writing inspiration and advice at the link below. Thank you so much for watching as always, and happy writing.